Hey guys, the lesson question for this video: how does commercialization affect the world of sport? So we're going to start by looking at media. Now the definition of media is diversified technologies which act as the main means of mass communication, being broad communication, communicating to a lot of people. So examples of that we have are printed media. So this could be newspapers, magazines, anything that's in printed form. We have broadcast media, so TV, radios. You might have the commentary or the pre-game shows. You then have the internet or social media. So you could have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. And then we have outdoor media, which could include billboards. Then we have sponsorship. So the definition of sponsorship is an individual or group that provides financial support to an event, activity, person, or organization. Now, sponsorship is the provision of funds or other forms of support to an individual or event in return for some commercial return. Now, this links to commercialization, which is to manage or exploit an organization or activity in a way designed to make profit. The specification refers to commercialized activity as being sponsorship and the media only. So how are sport, media, and sponsorship related? The media attracts businesses, sponsors who want to promote their merchandise. So for example, we have Bet365 as a billboard at the football. Media can rely on subscription payments from the spectators. And then sports spectators buy merchandise via media or advertising. Benefits of the media in sport to performers. So we have a rise in the profile of the sports performer, which increases their marketability, which means more TV coverage a players get, the more companies will want to sponsor that player, so they can boost the popularity of their brand. Being in the media spotlight can turn performers into heroes and role models. This can increase participation levels in that sport as young people are inspired to copy their heroes. It demonstrates good performance and gives examples for an athlete to copy. This can improve the quality of your skills. It can educate you on different tactics that can be used in the game. This can improve your performance if you then implement these tactics into your own performance. Slow motion replays can show good or bad technique. This can help the performer to improve their own performance. Now, there are some negatives of media in sports. A strong media presence could increase pressure to the performer, which may reduce their enjoyment. Being in the media spotlight can bring fame, but often brings with it scrutiny into their private lives. This may affect the mental health and well-being of the performer. Whilst good play can be highlighted and showcased, it also means that the mistakes of a performer become very public. Inappropriate sporting etiquette or bad sportsmanship could be highlighted, which could give the performer a bad name. Sports performers who are extrovert may thrive with the added media exposure. However, for those who are introvert, it may result in lower performance levels, as they are unable to cope with this. The media decides how much coverage each sport gets. It shows Premier League football all the time, and this helps to make the sport bigger. In comparison, it shows women's football much less often. This can limit the ability of this sport to become bigger and more popular. If sport is shown on TV, people watch it on TV and don't go to the matches. This can reduce money made by the club on ticket sales or affect the atmosphere of the games. It can interfere with timings of the events. For example, Premier League football always kicks off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Now, there are often matches every night of the week TV companies can make more money. It can pressure sports to change to become more exciting. For example, Test cricket, which lasts 5 days, they have now introduced the 2020 cricket, which is played in one day, making it more exciting for the viewers. Exam question. The media can have a major influence on its audience. Identify one type of media and explain two positive effects it may have on an individual's performance. Okay, so award 1 mark for each of the following. So the AO1 you would get 1 mark, and then the AO2 you would get 4 marks. So the AO1 you could say television, radio, newspapers, magazines, books, internet, or social media. AO2, it demonstrates good performance or gives exemplars for an athlete to copy to improve the standard of the individual's skills. So that would give you 2 marks. It can educate a performer by analyzing individual or team tactics, which can enable a performer to have a greater understanding of the physical activity. It could slow motion replays highlight good or bad technique, which a performer could then use in their own performance. It reports on exceptional performance, which can raise the confidence or motivation of the performer. Explain the relationship between sport, sponsorship, and the media. So we want to be talking explain, and we want to be talking sport, sponsorship, and media. So, award 1 mark for each of the following points up to a maximum of 3 marks. A sport is sold to businesses as a means of advertising to businesses' product. The business sponsors the sport to obtain advertising space and publicize its product. The sport is shown in the media, which promotes the product. The sports spectators see the advertising and buy the business's product. Now, we are not going to credit the golden triangle. You need to be able to explain how it all links. Sponsorship. So we have different types of sponsorship. You can have individual sponsorship, team sponsorship, competition sponsorship, stadium sponsorship. So for example, W88, they sponsor Crystal Palace, or you could have Nike sponsoring Ronaldo, or we could have the Emirates Stadium or the Emirates FA Cup. Those are great examples of sponsorship. So types of sponsorship for the individual. You can give someone money. This is a financial sponsor. This might be spent on paying to have an elite coach or be spent on covering medical bills like physio. You can give them a clothing or equipment sponsorship, which includes footwear, or you could give them access to high quality facilities. Benefits to a sponsor when sponsoring an athlete, team, or competition. You could have increased revenue or increased sales, increased profile by association with successful performers, advertising of your company, it's cheaper than TV advertising, and there are tax benefits. You can pay less taxes on money spent on the sponsorship. Benefits of sponsorship to a performer. Increased financial support allows more money to be available to pay for better coaching and training programs, under less stress to win because of the reduced worry about finances. Get free facilities could be provided, which allows for more training time to increase performance. New technologically advanced kit and equipment could be provided, which increases fitness and skills. So, for example, using StatVest in football to track your match stats when playing. Negatives of sponsorships. The contract between the sponsors and the performer may demand the performer has to attend various commitments, which may mean a loss of free time or privacy or take them away from training. Sponsors' product may not be suitable, for example, may be unhealthy, which may affect the sports performer's reputation, for example, Red Bull. Should Crystal Palace be sponsored by a betting company when they have fans under the age of 18? Something to think about. Outcome goals may be set, which could increase stress to produce successful results in order to repay their sponsor support and uphold reputations. So they must score a set amount of goals in a season to get paid sponsorship money in full, could be an example. A run of poor results may lead to a loss of sponsorship and therefore income, even their professional status. This could lead a performer to cheat during competition to maintain their sponsorship. There could be acts of direct aggression or cheating which may put off sponsors or could result in the withdrawal in sponsorship for sports performers. So, a 3-mark question. Sponsorship is very common in sport. Paying for transport costs is one example in which a sponsorship can help a sports performer. Give 3 other examples. So obviously we do not want to include transport. Okay, so award 1 mark for each of the following. So direct cash payments, paying for entry fees, providing equipment, clothing or footwear, paying accommodation, providing coaching, or providing training facilities are some examples there. Sponsorship has many advantages. State and explain the advantage for each of the following, giving a specific example in each case. So we have the performer and the sponsor. So remember, we're looking for a specific example. So we're looking to award 2 marks for stating and explaining each advantage and a further 1 mark for giving a specific example. So 2 times 3 marks. So for some examples here, performers can concentrate on their sport, training full-time or without financial worries. For example, any professional sports person. Performers can receive clothing free of charge or at a cheap rate. So like Johnny Wilkinson or David Beckham have a boot or clothing deal with Adidas. Performers can receive equipment free of charge or at a cheap rate. For example, Tim Henman receives rackets from Slazenger. The sponsor can get extra advertising, free or cheaper than TV. For example, shirt sponsors or sports or hoardings in a stadium. The sponsor can get increased revenue from higher sales of goods. Nike, from its association with Tiger Woods, is an example. Edit. Describe a negative effect which the media can have. Give example in your answer. So we're looking at describing a negative effect and providing an example. And this is for 4 marks. So award up to 4 marks. Award 2 marks for describing the negative effect and 2 marks for the actual example. So the media may have excess coverage on certain activities. This can discourage people from going along to see the event. As there is much coverage of Premiership football on television, viewers will watch these matches instead of watching lower level games, and the revenue these lesser clubs receive is therefore reduced significantly. The media could interfere with the timings of events. This is done to cater for the largest viewing audience they can have. An example is cricket. where they are not only day or night matches, but also games arranged out of normal playing seasons to make sure there are sufficient matches. So, to sum it all up, we had a look at the media, we had a look at sponsorship, and we had a look at commercialization.